Hello, everyone. Super happy to be here with Francesca and Lena. We're going to be talking today about the GreaterThan Camp at the Gathering of Tribes coming up in September 2024 in Portugal. Super excited to be with those two powerful, beautiful women today. As always, we're just going to get started easy and simple, or maybe not, by asking, who are you? Francesca, I'm going to start with you. You can go as philosophical as you feel like today.
Yeah, it's a big question. Um, who am I? I guess I'm somebody who's spent their whole life weaving and translating interesting messages and being a real interconnector. Because I'm actually I had come from an American family, but I grew up in Germany, and so I spent my young years doing a lot of cross connecting between the North America and Europe, comparing and seeing parallels. And I guess within that, I was always very passionate about organizing. And so I spent, many years, I would say the first formative years of my work in a community called We Share, and have just always been really into experimenting with how we can sort of question everything we know about how we organize. And think about like other ways that we can reflect our values and the world we want to live in within how we organize. So that's really been quite a red thread. And I'm calling here from Berlin, but actually I live in Barcelona with my family.
Beautiful. Another edge worker. I love it. Thank you. Lena, what about you?
I love the start of your intro, Fran, and this like, how deep do I go, right? And I thought like I'm somebody who kind of navigates and inhabits a lot of different worlds, and I think it's been like that my whole life, like mm, kind of the community world, and then the spiritual world, and then the world of like relatively corporate organizations, the world of artists and of art and theater. And I don't know, it was a couple of years ago that I realized that almost all the things that I do, they are held together by actually also by a red thread, and that's space holding. So I used to make my money, for example, with tattooing, and now I hold spaces in like, for leadership teams. And in the meantime, I facilitated like ritual spaces for femme beings. And I realized like, oh, all of them have this quality of space holding, even the tattooing, yeah. Like where I open a space for somebody or like a group of people to go through a process. And I think that's also, something that I really fascinates me and interests me. Like what are the enabling conditions for people to go through transformation, whether that is like individual transformation or organizational or group transformation. And I think it becomes most interesting for me when they come together. And that's also why I'm in this realm, in this particular kind of corner of organizational transformation and organizational work, because it's really about a big paradigm shift, I feel. And yes, there are the structures and there are the roles, processes, and the decision-making stuff that we need to kind of cultivate for that. And on the other side, there's a big wave of unlearning and relearning, and even like imagining a different way of being that kind of comes hand in hand with those organizational and systemic changes, right? It's beyond the organizations. It touches on economy and the way we basically weave together and collaborate. So yeah, those are things that really fascinate me. I'm a big believer in communal living, and that's kind of one of my big life projects is to create communal co-living spaces as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. So cool. Okay, now I'm really excited to jump in the next question. So if we go up one level to organizational level, actually, or collective level, you're both representing GreaterThan, which is a wonderful, super inspiring organization in the space. Of course, I think most people have heard about it, if not interacted with it directly, within our bubble at least. Yeah, Francesca, can you tell us maybe a bit more about, very simply, but the ethos, the vision, what is GreaterThan in a couple sentences?
Yeah, sure. So GreaterThan is, of course, always evolving and changing with the world we live in and the people that are there. But at its core, we're a global collective. We are coming from all over the world to work together, and basically trying to think about how can we organize in a way that actually can support creating thriving systems for all. And so the all is really a capital A, and that includes everything, right? All living beings, and even non-living beings, not just humans. And so, yeah, I think it's a very simple question, but a very, very big one. And we're really coming together to actually be in service of everyone, the individuals and the organizations that wanna try to do this. And yeah, explore and discover what is this way that we can organize that actually will support that thriving system. And so in a way, you could call us sort of consultants, organization developers, facilitators. Like we have a lot of different hats. And I guess that's one of the things that really characterizes us, that we try to meet the moment with what it needs and with the people it needs and the parts of them that are really called to help or to support something. And so that can actually yeah, change quite a lot given the circumstances. And I think that sort of agility and like dance move is sort of something that's really core to how we work. And wait, one other thing I wanted to add on that. Now I'm blanking on it. Ah, yes, exactly. Sorry. So this is also related to what Lena was saying before, which is that it's really like, I think we feel very strongly that it's not enough to say, oh, we're working on the personal change, or we're working on the organizational change, or on the systems change, but that we sort of feel like, well, we want to do all of it. And maybe that seems a bit crazy, but I think to us, it feels like it's actually impossible to do them in isolation. And so it's trying to figure out how to, yeah, connect all three levels in ways that sometimes are not obvious to the others we're maybe working with, but that make sense for ourselves to just take a really holistic approach. And I'll
Yes.
leave it there if Lena wants to
Yeah.
add anything.
And Lena, I want to let you jump in, but I just want to react to this last thing because it's very much our vision with the gathering. I mean, at the very start of the project, we had a lot of dialogues around what is regeneration and what is your definition and what is the definition and what are the principles. And where literally I had conversations with people saying, where's the book? Where's the reference book that explains regeneration, you know? and fair enough, no, but those conversations and those dialogues, and I couldn't answer many of the questions, but they really anchored in us as an organization this notion that we are holistic and we are integrative as an organization, because I cannot take any of the elements out without completely destroying the core, actually, right? It has to be about inner regeneration and outer regeneration, and to work at organizational and collective level all at once, because taking one of those elements just takes the meaning out. So I love this so much, and identify a lot. And I could bounce back on basically everything you said, but Lena, I wanna hand it over to you, maybe to top this up a little bit, if you wish to do so.
Maybe she's frozen.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought about, can you hear me well?
Yes, you're back.
Now, yes, but your video seems frozen. Oh.
Yes, now you're back.
How's it now?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm still frozen. Okay, give me a second.
You're back.
Okay, fingers crossed. Where was the thread? Right, I was thinking that I would like to kind of say something about a very specific aspect, because I feel with this, like in the last couple of years, with this kind of really welling up of this regenerative movement. I mean, I know that regeneration has been present for a longer time, but I feel like, you know, it started more around these questions around the earth, and then it started, you know, permaculture for people, and like it has all these different aspects. And I feel like there's this big welling up, which actually gives me a lot of hope, because I feel like regeneration as a movement and as a narrative really offers a place to locate ourselves in something that is both present and future, you know, that that we can work on now very concretely, and that has the potential to, if we actually kind of realize this, then we might make it, you know, we might make it to a future that is, well, I'm not even sure if harmony is the right word, but that kind of embraces life at its center. And I feel like with this welling up of the movement of regeneration, I love how it connects to the work of GreaterThan, because I feel like it offers an even wider framework, or like a complementary framework for the work that we have been doing anyways already, and where we can kind of embed ourselves in a wider in a wider ecosystem also of people who do this in different ways than we do, and like how can we mirror our work, or how is our work mirrored in other people's work, whether they work, you know, on the ground or in community. And I feel like there's a lot of very potent interconnection and intersections, you know, where we can meet. And that's one of the reasons why I'm also particularly excited about the Gathering of Tribes and us going there, because I really feel it holds this potential of making that more visible and more tangible, those interconnections and the pathways of mutual inspiration and support.
Absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I just want to close this also to link the GreaterThan with the gathering. I think our free introductions were interesting because for me, one pattern that came out there was this idea of edge workers and liminal spaces and the flexibility that we hold, right? And that we're, for me at least, that I'm learning to embrace. It has been a journey of not trying to put myself in one of the boxes. But to me, what is most sort of prevalent or alive in the regenerative ecosystem today is this idea of ecologies of practices. And we really have this embedded in the Gathering of Tribes, in that a lot of people, including myself, describe this space as a toolbox. I've heard that a lot. People are like, it's a toolbox, basically, like a big human toolbox where you go in and it's like you have those people that have been working for 15 years on collective imagination, and those that are absolute geeks in syntropic agroforestry and so on and so forth, right? And so to step into that space and to access the toolbox, which Francesca, I heard, that's what I felt when you were describing GreaterThan, that there was a bit of this idea as well, and that we can together hold the structure of the tools, but also leave space in the middle for the emergence of whatever needs to emerge, is very aligned and super beautiful, I find. I think this is a nice segue into your camp at the Gathering. And yeah, what are you dreaming about? Who are you inviting? Who will be there? What do you want to bring? And why is it important for you, I guess, to take space within the wider space of the Gathering? Francesca, I don't know if you want to start.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think that this is going to be a really great opportunity to both reconnect with others in our ecosystem, but also to build new connections and relationships. I think for us, a key way that we do our work is by building deep relationships and spending time together and just really getting to meet in person and actually do things. It just feels like such a great opportunity. And I guess one thing that I wanted to share here, which I think, which is a part that I'm really excited about, which is that GreaterThan really was born out of two networks at the time, WeShare and Inspiral. But in general, so many of our members are part of many different networks and communities. Like, we embrace people having lots of different identities while also still being in GreaterThan. And so I think this is a really beautiful opportunity for us to try to like bring those forward. And we're inviting people from all of those groups to come and to meet. And for instance, the WeShare community actually recently closed, like they're in a closing process. They're called composting, but there's been a desire to be able to keep meeting with the alumni and like, have ways to reconnect. And so we sent an invitation out to WeShare members, for instance, that have known each other for many, many years to meet up there. So yeah, to me, that's one example of trying to really reconnect with those roots and create connections for the future. And I think that Lena, as the person who really has initiated this camp, that she can say much more about the purpose and why we're doing it.
Yeah, maybe just to add a few sentences. I don't want to keep it too long, but I think one thing to understand is that GreaterThan is a global remote collective. So spending time in person is really precious for us. And it's one of the really important kind of building blocks of our work. Like at the foundation, this is needed at least sometimes. And like when you ask like why are we meeting and who's coming, I feel like there are these different layers. And one is like it's important for us as GreaterThan members and perhaps also explorers, which is a different layer of engagement of people with GreaterThan, to have points where we can come together. And one thing that I think is super special about this camp is that usually when we meet, it's members, and maybe we open for explorers, you know, for people who are already on our Slack, have been onboarded in one way or the other, depending on their layer of engagement. And this time, I feel like it's a super unique opportunity to actually connect with GreaterThan for the people who are not in this somewhat closed system, but who have, you know, been super, like we have people who are just really passionate about the work that we're doing or who do similar adjacent work, and where there's this like mutual point of inspiration. So I really invite also, like, this is an amazing point for them also to come, for people who've been in touch with us, who've taken courses that we offer, who we collaborated with beyond the borders of this ecosystem, and to meet them in person. That I find super, super exciting, because I feel like it's such a rare opportunity. And then the other thing I want to emphasize is that for me, it's also like when you reflect in Dragon Dreaming, they have these like 4 quadrants of things that are needed for a project, qualities that are needed for a project, and one of them is celebration. And I feel it's one of the quadrants where we're most weak at. So for me, this is also a place where we come together to enjoy life. Yeah. And enjoying life can have so many different meanings, right? It doesn't only mean to like, it can mean hanging out in our hangout area and enjoying the forest and maybe reading each other poetry, but it can also mean to offer something, some of our work and some of our, let's even say, wisdom to the broader ecosystem, but in a way that has this like kind of joy of life and celebratory energy somehow woven in. So those are my 2 cents on this. Yeah. Thank you.
And for me, this actually really closes the loop with what Francesca was saying at the very start around the integration of the individual and the collective, and even higher of like, for me, it's how can I bring myself into such a space, including the workspace, the professional space, if I don't also bring my joy of being alive, right? And the excitement that comes from that, and how much can I use that to nourish then the work and work on this back and forth movement. And I think if we do that at collective level, and if we create those spaces where we can connect really again at personal level, at human level, how much collaboration that can create, and how much more impact for all the projects that we're also very passionate about in this space. Beautiful. Francesca, is there anything else you would like to add or to close upon? Do you feel complete?
No, I think that was perfect. I'm super grateful that you're organizing the Gathering of Tribes, and I've been excited about GreaterThan having a camp there for a few years now.
Nice.
So yeah, really glad that now is the moment.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, both of you. Yeah, what a beautiful space.
Yeah,
Looking forward to the camp. And I'll put all the links in the descriptions or in the comments for your camp, the Gathering of Tribes, and GreaterThan website as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much.